Well, look, it's a giant squeen of yarn. What do they call it? Skein? Scheme? Roll?
Bye. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Skein, right? It's a skein of yarn? She can't hear me. She has no idea that I'm talking to her.
It sucked up that part of his face.
Misty! Misty, I can hear you.
Where's the socks on his hands?
Misty, darling, mute yourself. Oh. Technology. What are we doing? I'm trying to fix my camera. I don't know how to do this. So I can see more of the thing.
Every block, every ballot, every voice. This ain't left or right. This is right now. OVC. Teachers shaping minds. That too stood strong. Gig workers hustling just to get along. Parents, elders, first time voters in line. Same clock ticking, same moment in time. No dark money whispers. No backroom deals. Daylight choices and the truth that's real. Labels don't own us. We bigger than signs. Accountability lives where democracy thrives.
Our vote counts. Yeah, remember the name. Every voice heard. We don't play no games. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we found.
Yeah, this is the professional environment.
Stand tall, no doubt. Integrity first. Let the people speak loud. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we
Clear
found.
facts, no spin. Education unlock. Breaking down the process from the door to the box. Who earns the trust? Who shows up to serve? Asking the questions. Leaders got nerves. Neighborhoods talking. Town halls packed. Local voices first. Yeah, we built it like that. Different faiths, views, so walking as one. Democracy stronger when we all get it done. Yeah.
Our vote counts, yeah, remember the name. Every voice heard. We don't play no games. From coast to coast, let the movement expand. Power in the people, future in our hands. Our vote counts, stand tall, no doubt. When we show up informed, that's what it's all about. Our vote counts, stand tall, no doubt. When we show up informed, that's what it's all about.
This ain't ain't no cycle. Nah, this is a standard. Long-term vision, principles, plans from schools to the boards up to the higher seats. We connect the dots from the block to the streets. Peaceful power, respect and demand. Integrity measured by actions, not plans. OVC active, participation mounts. When the people stand ready, turnout counts. Yeah.
Our vote counts, yeah, remember the name.
If you're coming in the room and you saw me dancing, send me a coin. Send me a little gift. I'm not doing this for free. I'm kidding, I am. If you're coming into the room, please have a seat. Repost this live. Help us get onto the FYP. There are 3 ways to share a live. Did you know that there are 3 ways to share a live? Actually 4 if you use your mouth. You can repost it, share it to your story, but you can also spam your friends list. Today we are talking to a candidate from the great state of Illinois. And I know y'all know some people in Illinois. I do. One of my favorite Facebook friends is in Kankakee. Is it Kankakee? It is Kankakee, not Kankakee. It's Kankakee. Anyway, he's not on Facebook. I mean, he's not on TikTok. He refuses to join the talk. There are some people who just, they get overstimulated by all of the movement of the videos, you know, but that's okay. Every time I have, I do a town hall or we do a town hall and we have a person from a state where I know somebody, I tell them like, hey, you missed it. I hope you're voting. What district? I go, what district are you in? And they're always in a district that's not the one that we were talking about. You know, one of my BFFs, she is in District 10 of Virginia. We haven't talked to anybody from District 10. Why? Because Subramanian apparently has no challengers yet. He's the rep, the U.S. rep, the U.S. House rep for that district. He doesn't have any challengers in his primary yet. Crazy. Crazy. It's crazy because they don't like him. They don't like him. But I don't live in that district. I live in Ohio 11. So I can't help them. Unless it's through a form of education that you can only get on Our Vote Counts TikTok live town halls. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the town hall. Do 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 boo boo boo. Okay, now that I have shared this, let me see. Is our candidate here yet? Paging Reed Showalter. There he is. Mr. Showalter. Hi, Reed. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I would be even better if I could see your beautiful face on the camera and hope it includes the background that we provided for you.
Let me see if we can make that work.
Oh, make my dreams come true.
Should be right here, yeah?
Yes! Oh, look at that. Oh, it's like it stepped out of heaven. You stepped out of heaven, Reed. It's beautiful.
Thank you for your graphic design. It is extraordinary.
Thank you to Yolanda, as we call her, Thick, her nickname. She makes all of our graphics. She's amazing. She's amazing.
Thank you to Yolanda. Yeah, she seems fantastic. And Yolanda, you have made a wonderful graphic. Let me display for everybody.
Thank you. You know, you're one of the few candidates who, when you display the graphic, we can actually see you and the graphic.
I think it helps to be like sub 35.
Well, Mr. Reed Showalter, welcome, welcome. Reed, have you shared this with your followers?
I have, and let me just do a quick check with my digital media team too, and make sure.
Ooh,
yes.
A digital media team. Wow.
Yes, I believe we have, and I'll make sure that we are sharing it widely so that everybody gets a chance to tune in.
You got long campaign paper, huh?
No, I mean, this is more like people who are excited about it. We have been really blessed to have a lot of young people excited about our campaign, which means
Oh, that's
that,
awesome.
the kinds of things that you would have to spend millions on, you instead have people saying, look, I do this already. I'm native to this. And
That's great. We need more young people like that. That's why we do this over here, so we can get the young people more interested in elections. So we're going to go ahead and get started. People are trickling in. If you're coming in, please like the live, share it out. There are 4 ways to share it. You can repost it. You can share it to your story. You can send it out to your followers, or you can just open your mouth and say, hey, guess what? They're doing a TikTok live town hall with Reed Showalter from Illinois. He's running for Congress. And I want you to come over here and watch. It's educational. It's inspiring. Everyone loves it. We've done this over 100 times already. It's amazing. And when you're in here, remember, you are a visitor, but we love you anyway. We want you to be gentle and kind in the comments. If you have a question for Reed, you may leave it in the comments and I will ask him. Or you can hit the multi-guest option and you can come up and ask him yourself. Either way works for us. Also, again, please use TikTok friendly language. And that's for you too, Reed. Please use TikTok friendly language, please. Reed, where'd you go? Get the media team on it. Reed, where are you? Where have you disappeared to, Reed, please? I've been watching a lot of Bridgerton. That's why I'm talking like that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Reed, there you are. Oh.
Alrighty.
You got some squirrels chewing on your internet line there, Reed?
Apparently.
I
just put this back together. Alrighty. We're back in action.
There you go. Back in action. Great. Also,
and yes, I heard the last thing you said. I will make sure that we are exclusively speaking TikTok friendly. We will be talking about how our democracy is unaliving itself.
Right. Oh gosh. And today has been a day. Okay. Today has been a day. But we also want to make sure that your account stays in good standing, and so does ours. We love that. We want to keep the people informed without having to write appeals letters. So tonight, it's 5 o'clock here. It's almost dark. Tonight, we're speaking with Reed Showalter, candidate for Illinois' 7th Congressional District, U.S. House of Representatives. We'll be talking about his background, his vision for his district, and of course, taking your questions live. Remember, hit the multi-guest or leave the question in the chat, and we'll make sure that he gets to see it. Hello, my name is Ayana, by the way. This is Our Vote Counts. We are a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, and accountability in the upcoming elections. Formed by a collective of educators, veterans, small business owners, students, and community advocates, Our Vote Counts represents the strength of unity across geography, race, and ideology. Our Vote Counts is more than a name. It's a promise, a movement, and a rallying cry for democracy. Together, we are shaping the future, one informed vote at a time. And I just want to tell the people a little bit about your district before we get started. The current incumbent is Danny Davis, right?
That's right.
Okay, and Illinois' 7th Congressional District is located in Cook County, Illinois. It covers part of Chicago and several surrounding communities in the Chicago metropolitan area. Population is around 760,000. Median household income is around 90,000. It is 42% Black, 29% roughly white, 8.6% Asian. The primary is March 17th. That's a little over a month away. I hope you all are registered. I hope. Reed himself is an attorney. Hey, so am I. High five.
Hey, love it.
Originally from Oak Park, Illinois, where he grew up as the son of a hardworking small business owners. Okay. He lives in Chicago's West Loop with his wife and their 2 beloved dogs. I have to say this, Toast and Bubble.
Yeah,
Oh, Toast and
they're little
Bubble.
goblins. We love them.
Oh. He spent his career working in financial regulation and public service, including legal work aimed at holding powerful interests accountable and helping everyday people. Read. For people meeting you for the first time, tell us more about yourself and why you decided to run for office.
Absolutely, yes, and such a pleasure. Thank you, Ayana, for all the work that you do on this. Thank you for holding a platform open for candidates to get their message out there and talk to people in ways like this. It really does. It means a lot, and it is. If we are going to have people engaged in the political process, it requires us doing stuff like this. So
Exactly.
I'm glad to be here with you, and I'm so glad that you are doing this work to sort of save democracy here. You covered a lot of my background. I am an attorney by training. I'm an antitrust attorney. I started off my sort of political awakening. I was an Occupy Wall Street kid. I have spent a whole lot of my life coming out of the '07 recession, where my dad lost his job and we almost lost our house. And I felt this feeling that like people who are hundreds of miles away can just rip the rug out from under people's lives. That nothing that you have can be taken for granted, and that the people who really control that don't really care about the rest of us. There's, a vanishingly small group of people at the very tippy top who are willing to trade out the stability of all of our lives for a little bit more profit. And that doesn't feel right to me. That feels anti-American to me. And I think it's the kind of thing that leads to the world we're in right now, a Donald Trump administration, a set of powerful financial interests that got him into that seat in the first place, and a bunch of people who I think, for understandable reasons, say the political system, the economic system just doesn't do anything for me. It is not worth believing it. It keeps kicking me while I'm down, and it is not a ladder for real opportunity. And so I became an antitrust attorney because I thought that is one of the ways that we can take on this really dominant set of far too powerful corporations and restore power to regular people. I did this work on the House Judiciary Committee. I worked investigating the biggest companies in the world. I investigated Google and Facebook and Apple and Amazon, and did the same type of work at the Federal Trade Commission and at the Department of Justice. I finished up the last year of my federal public service at the White House National Economic Council, where I was doing our fair markets work. So trying to stop businesses from using non-competes to stop people from switching jobs, trying to stop price gouging, trying to stop big airlines from charging you $50 just to sit next to your kid, and giant pharmaceutical companies from price gouging you on EpiPens and insulin, and all of that work I am watching get torn to shreds by this administration. And not just that, watching a turn towards this sort of extractive oligarchy style that is on the backs of real horrifying racial division. And, this Illinois, district, Chicago's Illinois 7th Congressional District, is where I grew up. And it's also the place where, if you've been paying attention to the news, the Broadview ICE Detention Center in Chicago has been. This is where Operation Midway Blitz was staged out of. This is where they have been kidnapping and processing people in what used to be like a sleepy suburb where retirees would go spend their quiet evenings, and has now been turned into a staging ground for fascism and a pseudo concentration camp. And it's horrifying to watch the machinery of government not just turn its back on regular people, but actively become a weapon against them. And that is why I saw this happening in the world. I saw that I had a set of experiences that maybe qualify me to take this administration on. I've done this work, I've done these investigations, I have held very powerful interests accountable in the past, and I thought that this district needs somebody who is going to step up and fight for progressive values, and do so with the experience to slam the emergency brake on fascism, because God knows things have been going in the wrong direction, and we need to fight back with whatever skills we can to put it back on track.
All right. Thank you for that. And so we're going to get into a little icebreaker. I'm trying to think. I've got a bunch rolling around in my head, and I want, because you've spent your entire life in Illinois, I want to know from you, what other destination in the United States has been the best place that you've been to? Like, have you been to the Smoky Mountains? Have you been to the Grand Canyon? Have you visited the national parks? Have you been to California, seen the Hollywood sign? What's the best destination in the U.S.
Yeah.
besides where you live.
Yeah, I can't say anywhere in Illinois. That's
Right.
you're
Nowhere in Illinois.
going into a fight with my hand tied behind my back. Yeah, I took a trip when I was younger to the Grand Canyon, and I have always I've loved it, probably because it is so wildly different from what Chicago is. The giant cavernous orange canyons and the ability to sort of hike through something that looks like the surface of Mars is super, super cool. And Chicago and Illinois has a lot on offer. We've got great rivers, great lakes. We've got like a full set of four seasons, but you're never seeing that.
Right.
That here.
You know what? I didn't know until I became an adult and got onto TikTok. I didn't know that there are people living in the Grand Canyon.
This is news to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Am I breaking news? Breaking news, people.
This is exciting.
There is, I don't know the name of the group. I don't want to say tribe. They don't really like the word tribe, but indigenous people. It's a group of indigenous people. They live in the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are a whole bunch of native peoples who are in and around that area. I guess I just never put two and two together that they were in the canyon itself. And
yeah,
of course they are.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I saw one. She was having stuff delivered by helicopter, like groceries and things. It was incredible. But
yeah, that does have to be an expensive delivery fee.
Yeah. So, okay, Reed, your campaign centers on affordability and competition. So we're going to start there. You've worked in antitrust enforcement. What's one concrete step Congress should take to lower prices for everyday essentials like food and health care?
Yeah, it's a great question. The thing about our healthcare system is that it is expensive because it is serving the profit motives of a few giant companies. So the seventh largest company in the whole world is United Health Group. They are an insurance company. You probably know them.
They're my insurance company's, what do you call it? The underwriter. I have insurance and then, Mm-hmm.
Yep. And they have gotten so big in large part because, for example, they deny a third of all claims.
Oh, wow.
If you're trying to get coverage, 1/3 of those is going to get kicked back, and maybe your doctor will fight it, or maybe you'll fight it, maybe you won't. But the business model there is collecting premiums and then not providing coverage. And the only way that type of business model stays relevant is if you don't really have a choice. If there's only you could go to Aetna or something, or you could go to Blue Cross Blue Shield around here, but they're doing similar stuff. They are operating at similar scales and they are denying a similar number of claims. And so you've got a few big companies, right? With a for-profit drive and all of the power in the world to say, we want to make more money, and the way we make more money is by denying care. That is a broken system. There's a reason why I am strongly in favor of Medicare for all and a single payer system, but I also think there's a lot more that we need to be doing to create competition in this system and to break up that monopoly power. Because if we just have Medicare for all, for example, then okay, we've got a way to disrupt just the insurance side, but now you got a bunch of pharmaceutical companies who are going to keep charging you an arm and a leg. And the hospital systems that are also bought up by for-profit companies, including United Health Group, for example, says, great, there's one insurer, but it costs $1 million to get a cancer screening now. And so you've only solved one part of it. And, you look at the stats here, America per capita, per person, pays twice as much for healthcare as any of our developed peers. And they all have single-payer healthcare. So we're paying for single-payer healthcare twice over, and we're just paying into the profit lines of a few, very few giant companies. Congress has the power to fix that. Congress can institute Medicare for all, which would immediately bite into the ability of these giant insurers to charge those monopoly profits. They could also break up or step in when giant pharmaceutical companies, for example, are saying, it's going to cost $100,000 for a regimen of drugs to treat cancer that it actually costs $10 to produce the pill. we could manufacture that ourselves. We could price regulate the top level of that and say you can't charge more than 10 times what it costs to make that drug. And the same thing in hospitals. Like, it is supposed to be illegal in most states for-profit companies to own hospitals, but it's under-enforced and there is no federal law banning it. And so no surprise when you have a bunch of giant for-profit industries buying up our hospitals and charging people more money. Those are really concrete steps that make healthcare more affordable today. And it is well within the power of Congress to do it.
All right. So you've talked about corporate concentration driving up costs. What industry do you think needs the most urgent oversight?
Yeah, I think healthcare probably has the most immediate need, right?
Okay.
And I think healthcare and housing probably in order. They are the things that people feel most acutely, right? Like, if you can't go to the doctor without going into generational debt, and if you can't afford a roof over your head, you don't know if you're going to be able to pay your next month's rent or pay your mortgage. That is not freedom. That's not an America that lives up to its founding values. I think the single most important industries that we should be fighting to make fair are the ones that are currently hurting people the most. And I talk to people all the time on this campaign and even before this, people who are skipping care because they're afraid they can't afford it, and people who are choosing not to get life-saving care because they're afraid that it's going to put their kids in debt if they pass away. People who are I talk to people who are moving out of Chicago. And their families have lived here for generations because they're like, yeah, the housing prices are just way too high. I have to go to a whole different state where I don't know anybody, but maybe I'll find a place to afford it. And that really tears at the fabric of how people live. And it's the reason why I think people get mad enough to vote for somebody who says, let's burn the whole system down. Whatever comes along with that, let's burn the whole system down because it's not working.
Well, and you burn the whole system down, you got to have something that replaces it. So. Right. And we've been doing this since last September, and we've heard a whole range of ideas of how to deal with healthcare. But housing is one that we don't hear too many people talk about what to do about housing, except, rent stabilization. But what about people who want to own a home?
Right. Yeah, this is a thing that I think is a really important and missing part of the conversation. We talk about affordable housing almost exclusively as either rent stabilization or maybe a Section 8 voucher for people below a certain income level. But it doesn't address the fact that housing is, especially in America, one of the most consistent and previously one of the most effective ways to build wealth in a family. And if you can't buy a home, then you are frozen out of that. Especially as housing prices continue to climb and we watch the wealth gap continue to climb. A lot of that is driven by housing. Like, if you got in time, if you were one of the lucky few who bought a house for $17 and a strawberry. No, I get it. Yeah. My parents, my grandparents, likewise. That is it's a real platform for you to have a stable and successful life. And, when I talk about addressing affordable housing, it's not just rent stabilization. I think we need to be building housing that people can buy. And likewise, the federal government is really well suited to do that. We actually used to do it. We did it in the New Deal era. We built housing that could purchase and then build a sort of a lifetime of family wealth on that housing that was built. And we can do that again. Like, what does it look like to say, let's push for a national public housing works program? We're going to build 4 million new homes over the next 10 years. We're going to get people trained up with good union jobs and a bunch of skill building, and we build a bunch of these homes and we sell them into communities. We're not selling them to super rich investors, but if you are under a certain income level, and if you're not a millionaire, you should be able to buy an affordable house. Let's build those houses, and great, you can buy that house. And now we are finding a pathway, sell those houses at cost, sell them even at slightly less than cost, so that people can say, great, now I have something in my life that I can start building a platform of wealth from. And talk about a jobs program that really prepares the broader economy for the types of things that need to happen. if you can build a house, you can fix a house. If you can wire a house, you can install electricity in any number of buildings, and those types of skills are really in demand, and they're really transferable, and they're like high paying and really good quality jobs. That kind of thing it's a huge economic stimulus, and it also allows people this pathway back into the sort of wealth building version of the American middle class that used to be the engine of how people got ahead and really built their lives.
Now it seems like we are the middle class is the bank for the entire country.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, everything is just how can we squeeze a little bit more out of the middle class? I see this all the time. These like buy now pay later programs.
Yeah,
have gone into everything. Now it's buy now pay later for food delivery
and for rent. People are using it for rent. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it strikes me as a really sort of scary sign. Like we, instead of investing in a thing that allows middle class people to make more money and save more money and buy things when they have it, it's okay, well, we know you're out of money now, but maybe you can mortgage a little bit of your future and pay for it that way. And that's just totally backwards.
It is, but it's popular because it's easy. It's, and there's so many of these programs and they're everywhere. And the regulation now it's slowly creeping up, but they're mostly unregulated, right? And it wasn't until last year that they would appear on your credit report. And, So how do you balance promoting competition with supporting small businesses that are already struggling?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are much the same thing. A lot of times, what I'm talking about with promoting competition is the fact that small businesses are getting stepped on and pushed out of opportunities by the biggest ones. Like think about Amazon, for example, or any of the sort of digital platforms where people sell goods. If you sort of step sideways from Amazon, there's no way you can sell, even if you have like a successful business that people want. It has to run through the sort of Amazon platform, and Amazon famously does this thing where it sees who are the top performing business categories, who has the top performing brands, and then it says, great, we're going to do a knockoff of that and we're going to promote it above.
Right.
You're selling diapers or headphones or whatever successfully, great, we're going to sell it for $1 cheaper, we're going to find your supplier, and we're going to promote it as the first search results because you've proven that it's a successful business, but we're going to eat that up. Mm-hmm. And that story, it's a good illustration, but that kind of thing happens all over the place at small and large scales. If you're trying to open a restaurant, it's really hard to get relationships with the big distributors, and you face pressures getting squeezed out by the major chains. If you're trying to open a clothing store, the same thing happens. If you're trying to open, a grocery store in a community and you don't already have a relationship with like Walmart's distributors, you're going to get squeezed out because it is not in their interest for you to be able to start a small business, grow that small business, and serve that community, because that's taking business away from the major players. And because they have so much control over so many parts of it, like if you're competing against a grocery store as a small business, you're not just competing against a grocery store. You're competing against the suppliers that they own and the distributors they own and all of the distribution channels that they own. And so how are you supposed to go up against that? Like it's impossible to compete on price. It's impossible to compete on distribution. They'll squeeze you out of that distribution. And so the work of supporting small businesses here, like my parents, my mom's a dog groomer. My dad's a small contractor.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask.
Yeah. These small businesses are the ones that people want to go to. Like there's a superpower there. They do, frankly, like better quality, more interesting work. People know them. They trust their work. They're consistent. They're in the community. They hire more people in those communities. Like consistently, a small business that if a small business does $1 million of revenue, they're hiring way more people for that $1 million than having a target for like $1 million of target revenue. And so government has a really important role in doing a few things there. One, stopping these types of exclusionary anti-competitive practices that the big players do. Like, Amazon shouldn't be able to squeeze you out of a top-selling product that you have just because you were successful and they want that money now. But also, we can and should be funding and creating access for financing for small businesses, making it easier for them to grow and survive through those first few years, and providing more opportunities. Like if you're a food business, the USDA sets a lot of the rules for who can buy various things for government programs. And if they're just buying from major manufacturers, but not a local farm or a local food business or a local restaurant, that's a huge missed opportunity for those local industries. And federal government can and should be making sure those dollars are available to regular people and small businesses because they serve the community a whole lot better.
All right. I love that response. Thank you. Now, moving on to social programs, because you're in Cook County and this is a big part of the economy and the social infrastructure. In your district, about 18% of residents live below the poverty line, which is a lot of people, even though the district sits at the center of a major metropolitan economy. As a member of Congress, how would you strengthen federal social programs like SNAP or housing assistance or tax credits so they better support families in your district?
Yeah. Well, first off, yes, Illinois 7th Congressional District is, I think, a perfect example of America. We have the highest highs of wealth and the lowest lows blocks away from each other.
Right.
And we have never fully resolved. In many cases, we have doubled down on the deep and terrible legacy of how America sort of binds up its racism and its classism in one thing. And so this is, Chicago was the most redlined city in America. It is the outcome of historic and intentional disinvestment across the district. And it is really important that moving forward, we rectify that, one, by driving investment where it has been passed over, and investment in the way that isn't just about the sort of immediate Band-Aid for getting people through to next week, but like building new opportunities too. Because we obviously, we are in the middle of a fight. The Trump administration is cutting SNAP benefits and Medicaid benefits, and people are going hungry because of the cravenness and cruelty of this administration. And obviously we need to fight against that and restore those benefits and make them more universally available, because you and I know both that the biggest problem for these programs is not fraudulent use, it's the lack of uptake. It's people who are entitled to them, and because of the hoops that you have to jump through, or because of the huge administrative burden, you just never get around to doing it because it's too hard, and now you've got kids going hungry. Those are critically important lifelines. And I think, I am tired of hearing this from a tax credit perspective. Like, the tax credit, to my mind, doesn't, if you're in business, fine, like you can float that till the end of the year. But if you're trying to make a story of like, how do I afford my groceries this week, a tax credit in 9 months doesn't help me.
No.
It just doesn't.
No.
And so we need to move out of this mindset that the way to help people who are in the like most acute phase of lacking resources is to say, well, you're in luck. 10 months from now, you can file paperwork and get money back. That's not a way to give people a lifeline out. They can't plan against that. It's a hard way to sort of get through the year. And so how do we make sure that programs like SNAP and Medicaid are protected, expanded, made universal, so that you don't have this constant fight over the many certification requirements and people getting kicked off because they didn't file the most recent set of 35 pages, but they are still obviously entitled to it. And then how do we do the type of thing that I was talking about earlier, like these really big scale reinvestment programs, building new housing, building new green infrastructure, tearing out and replacing our lead pipes, creating like upfront grant programs to start new businesses that employ people. Mm-hmm. That kind of money is available right now. And those are the types of jobs available for people right now that allows them to have the essential benefits that they need from social services, like social safety nets, like SNAP and WIC and Medicaid, and also start walking towards the opportunities that everyone wants, which is to like make a solid middle-class income and buy a house. and not keep people trapped in this constant cycle of poverty, because our social programs are just designed to keep people on the line, not to help get them out of the rut.
Right. It doesn't push them over the line. It's
Yeah.
specifically designed just to get them there. And there's no uplifting. There's none of that. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
It's
this is the type of case for things like reparations. This is the type of thing for a wealth tax that is properly distributed. It's the type of case for a wealth tax that, for example, is used to fund schools. I don't know why, for example, your educational opportunities should depend on whether you've got mansions in your zip code. That's crazy.
and how much money you have saved for your children
Yes.
since they were zygotes.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
All of the risk of that is pushed on to just you as a family unit, right? How is it that in a country that prides itself on being the richest in the world, we don't have the resources to make sure that people have educational opportunities and healthcare and housing to live in? Places with a whole lot less money than us have all of those things for way cheaper. And this is just, at this point, a question of priorities. We have the resources to do it. We need to prioritize where we put them.
We're living in a republic that does not invest in its people, doesn't invest in their health care, doesn't invest in their upbringing. It doesn't invest in their food. It doesn't invest in their education. Yet it expects those same people to get out into the world. You know, what did Dr. Oz say? Start working a year earlier as a teenager and retire much later. Well, if you're not investing in your people, then they're not going to be able to do that.
Right. Yeah. My favorite little thought on this is the pull yourself up by your bootstraps crowd never seems to realize that phrase is a joke. It's it's a physics joke. You actually can't do that. If you pull your bootstraps, you just fall head over heels.
That is true. But you can't say nerd stuff to people. People don't,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So, okay, nearly 15% of residents in your district are foreign born, and about 24% of households speak a language other than English at home, which can make accessing benefits even harder. How would you work in Congress to make sure federal social programs are easier to access and more equitable for the diverse community that you live in?
Yeah, 100%. Couple things here. One, I'm really proud of how much of Illinois 7th is diverse, and not just diverse, but diverse from another country. People who are so excited about the promise of America and the promise of Chicago that they picked up their whole life and moved here because they thought this was going to be a chance that was worth leaving behind their friends and their family and the place that they grew up. And that is it's a real honor, and it is a part of America's superpower, and we should be so excited and blessed to have that. And the amount that we have spent time talking about immigrant communities as though they are a burden in some way, when they have always been the plus factor that makes America possible,
Right.
is unforgivable to me. So I'll say, again, a lot of this is a question of priorities. When I was talking about universality earlier, I think this is one of the key parts of this. We need to make sure that these programs are fundamentally easier to apply for, and in many cases, chip in automatically. Like, the IRS knows how much money people make. In fact, they don't even need to send you the tax return at the end of the year. They already know how much
They already-
you owe. The exercise there is, to my monopoly point, is just a way to get H&R Block some more money for preparing your taxes. Like, we all could just get a bill. And instead, we got to go through the hassle of it. That same type of thing can and should be used for social programs where possible. Like, we know how much people have, and if you are entitled to benefits after that, great, you're automatically enrolled. Here's a thing in the mail and to your email and the text to your phone saying you're automatically enrolled in this program. Here's how we can make it easier for you to use it. It's not you come to us with 45 pages of paperwork. There's a lot of modernizing that we can do there, just so that people don't have to jump through these hoops, because that is part of the barrier there. The other part of this is, as a congressperson particularly, this is a lot of the work of what a congressperson should be doing in the district. Right now, there's one congressional office from the incumbent member in the district. It's at the dead center. It's hard to get to for if you live on the west side. If you live on the south side, it's a 30+ minute drive to get there.
Wow.
And we have not just an opportunity, but a real obligation as members of Congress to say, great, we have a staff budget. Let's use it to have multiple district offices that are staffed by people who have language skills and cultural competency and a skill set to help people navigate the hoops and various fireballs that are thrown at you when you're trying to get your way through, whether it's a grant program or a federal benefits or frankly, navigating the immigration process. Mm-hmm. All of that is something that's a member of Congress's district team can and should be doing. And it's a question of priorities. Are you going to spend your resources to do it? I've made a commitment that if I'm elected to Congress here, I would open at least 3 district offices, that no district office would be more than a 15-minute drive from people's home. And it would be staffed every day of the week with people who speak a language that you are most comfortable speaking, and staffed with people who are trained and can help navigate through the many complex parts of our legal system that our government has. And that sort of 1-2 punch there is an indication of the ways that we make this possible. It is a combination of structural reform and also just elbow grease on the ground. How do you make sure that you are going to people, not hoping that they come to you?
And I like that you said cultural competency, right? Maybe if we call DEIA cultural competency, it might go over better.
Yeah, I mean, this is a skill set. It is.
You have to know how to talk to people, but how to treat people, but based on who they are, right? There are people who come to you from ethnic and immigrant communities who a woman may not be comfortable talking with a man. A white person may not know how to interact with a black person. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Yeah. It's true. There are parts of the black community where they've never been exposed to white people. And so when they go and talk to a white doctor, they feel uncomfortable. It has nothing to do with, racism. It's just the cultural barrier, right?
Yeah. And with all of that, even if people aren't scared, if you're not comfortable with somebody, you're not going to share everything.
Exactly.
And so making an environment where people can share and speak openly without having to sort of check their words or figure out how they're going to talk to somebody, that matters. Right. And so hiring people from across the district who are from these communities, who it's not there's no learning that has to be done. There's just, these are your neighbors. That is the type of work that is essential for a good representative. We're already in this place where it's so hard. We have, frankly, congressional districts that have too many people in them. Originally, this was designed to be 30, 40, 50,000 people per congressional seat, and we're talking about 750,000. The least we can do is make sure that if you're going into your congressperson's office, there's somebody there who has the cultural, language, and professional skill set to meet you where you are.
Exactly. I agree. All right. Now we're going to move into a few rapid fire. All right. These are 1-word or 1-sentence answers. You don't got to filibuster. You don't got to. But what's your top priority for your first 100 days?
First 100 days in 2026 is accountability for this Trump administration. We are very likely going to have a Senate that's probably still Republican controlled, and definitely a president that is Donald Trump. And so we've got to obviously do the work to write the bills that we can eventually pass. But day one, this administration is doing crimes, and we need investigations and subpoenas and impeachment and the types of accountability that builds a record for real meaningful, substantive accountability, both from the states, from people who want to sue individually, and eventually from the DOJ when we win back power.
Okay. Corporate PAC money, accept or reject? I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, reject. No surprises there.
Why did I even ask? The minimum wage, raise or restructure?
Can I say both? Raise and restructure. I think we absolutely need to raise it. I think there should be a floor of, at a bare minimum, $20 an hour across the country. And then there should be, like, there are places, New York City, $20 an hour is not going to cut it. Downtown Chicago, $20 an hour is not going to cut it. There should be places where we are automatically adjusting it on top of that. And I'm so tired of having to have this debate every, 10, 20 years. It should automatically adjust for inflation.
Right.
The fact that we are still fighting for a raise for minimum wage because we can't get floor time for it is crazy.
Okay. Public safety, crime prevention, or enforcement?
I think crime prevention is the thing that works. Like we've seen it here in Chicago. The investment in violence interruption has been a thing that the city has focused on in the last several years, and we are seeing a historic and precipitous drop in crime across the city, and especially in violent crime, and it's really, really important. There is obviously, like, I was a prosecutor of white collar crime. I think we should enforce the laws. I think there's a bunch of people who are, like, I've seen a bunch of CEOs doing fraud, and we need to go after a lot of that. And we should not get rid of our enforcement efforts, and we should make sure that they are properly balanced and focused on the thing that affects people's lives. We need enforcement in communities so that there are avenues for accountability for violent crime, 100%. And we also need to make sure that giant companies like, Sam Bankman-Fried don't keep pulling the wool over our economy and tanking our economy and stealing money from the middle class. And all of that is an enforcement question. But I think a lot of it has become this sort of overblown theater of cracking down on historically disinvested, historically marginalized, historically communities of color. And we have forgotten that the way to make sure that communities are safer is to provide opportunities and de-escalation pathways and educational pathways and real wealth building opportunities.
All right. One word that describes your leadership style.
Energetic.
All right. I like that. You need to get the people worked up, get them pumped up,
right.
get them, get them fired up.
There's a lot of crises happening at the same time, and things are bad in a lot of places. But the only way that it stays bad is if we give up. And I think there's a lot of room for hope, and the only way that we seize on that hope is by showing up and being in the fight, and that takes some real energy.
It does. It does take energy to get people to the polls.
Yeah, no kidding.
People get to the polls.
And if you're in Illinois 7th right now, you can vote starting today at the Super State in downtown.
Yay! Early
137
voting, I love
South State Street. Go vote. Maybe for me. It'd be great if you voted for me.
I love that. Thank you for reminding them of that. I really love that. So we talked briefly about housing, and I just want to ask you just one general question about your community. What's the single biggest federal barrier to building more affordable housing in cities like Chicago?
Yeah. Federal barrier is an interesting question. So there are a number of approval processes, regulatory approval processes that are put in place by the federal government. I think a lot of those are done for a good reason, right? We don't want developers running through and building shoddy housing that people don't want to live in just because it's more profitable to, to slap together something out of sticks and plywood. I think it's important to have that. That said, those requirements take a long time to get through. It's why I talk about a federal public works program that's building new housing, because the federal government has the power on day one to say, those requirements, we're jumping to the front of the line. They don't apply to us. We're going quick. And we're building that housing immediately so that people can get into them quickly. Another part is access to funding. It's just hard to get the funding. It's hard to get the resources to build housing quickly. And on the private side too, like, there needs to be more money, because if you're a private housing developer, you need to cover the cost of building and the cost of floating that interest rates and your profit margin. And frankly, if you're doing that much work, the profit margin has to be more than what you would get in just the stock market. So it's a bigger profit margin on that, because you're taking some risk on whether it flops too. And so all of that makes things expensive. and it creates delays because you're trying to raise more and more money. Federal government is really well suited to, one, make those resources available to people who are going to build for nonprofits, but also if the federal government was building itself, like, look, we print the money. There's no hurdle on that. And so imagine the superpower and speed of building that you could do if you were just going to come in and say, we're the federal government, we're building houses right now, and we're going, shovels in ground to tiles on roof in the span of a year. And that stuff is possible if you're able to sort of jump through the many hurdles that exist there. Not to mention the fact that the federal government can jump through whatever the local and municipal zoning requirements would be too, and just say, great, doesn't matter, we're building, and we're building affordable housing right in the district for you right now.
Listen, if the federal government can come into your neighborhood with a helicopter and have a dude propelling from the sky into an apartment building, they can come into your neighborhood and plop down some wood and some nails and build a house.
Yeah, gosh.
They just don't want to. And I tell people this all the time. The federal government has the resources. They just don't want you to have them. Mm-hmm. They want you to have, they want to control your access to the resources because they want to preserve it for the people up here while the rest of us down here are fighting each other for resources. They love that.
That's right. It's always the thing people say. Whenever government is doing a good thing for people, there is this like coordinated campaign to say that's socialism, that's communism. Of course, it's never socialism or communism when ICE rolls through with a Black Hawk helicopter and arrests people out of the 10th floor of a building. But it is socialism or communism to build housing. It's socialism or communism to
imagine that
build a hospital. Yeah, I can't stand it.
Ay. So let's talk a little bit about racial division and immigration. Yeah. Your district is a majority minority district with over 40% of residents identifying as Black and longstanding racial gaps in wealth and investment across neighborhoods. As a member of Congress, how would you use federal policy to close racial opportunity gaps and make sure economic growth actually reaches communities that have historically been left out in the district? Yeah.
This is one of the main reasons I talk about these big swing building projects, because a lot of the underinvestment in this district especially is the disappearance of industry and infrastructure that allows people to sort of like build and knit the sinews of wealth. And that is intentional. For a very long time, the federal government was complicit and active in robbing wealth from communities of color here. They presided over and encouraged the lack of access to financing and banking and consistent investment. And Illinois 7th had centers of Black wealth cut through by the internet or the interstate highway system very directly. And that kind of thumb on the scale also shows how much work an active government that is affirmatively building could do to restore wealth. The act of building new housing, the act of building new hospitals and clinics, the act of building new grocery stores is a reinvestment, and it is something that pays dividends to communities that have been historically disinvested in. And it is the type of thing that I think there's a level of investment and energy that it takes for communities to get a foothold again. And as you were saying earlier, if you're just given breadcrumbs, if it's just SNAP, if it's just WIC, if it's just Medicaid, and people are like, I'm here, I'm barely holding on, that's not enough to sort of get the dynamo spinning again in communities of people who are hardworking and would absolutely drive the engine of economic prosperity as they have in the past before they were sort of pushed down and out by disinvestment. That's the kind of thing that allows you to sort of build back up, right? If you have a new hospital system that's putting hundreds of people to work in Austin, if you have a housing works program that is training up people, training up plumbers and framers and electricians and building 10,000 houses on the south side, that's a big deal, because that's also the resources to buy those houses. That's the resources to spend at a coffee shop that opens down the streets, and that kind of thing gets an engine moving. And it's the type of thing that I think we need to be talking about more affirmatively. Like, yes, we need to drive resources back. We need grant programs and social safety net programs, but we need that plus factor of how do we rebuild the types of economic engines that when Brock's Candy, the candy factory here, closed down, or when these hospital systems get bought up and sold and then closed down, they leave with jobs, and those jobs are the things that allow the opportunities in these parts of the district that keep getting disinvested in.
Okay, Reed, you see what's going on in the country with immigration.
Yeah. Sure do.
It pains me to say this, Reed, but Congress is responsible for the Department of Homeland Security. I mean, that was a bipartisan effort. It was passed nearly unanimously, the Patriot Act, right? What is it going to take to reform immigration in this country? And what ideas, you could just settle on one, do you have for as far as pushing reform? Like, people will say abolish, the ICE, but then you got to replace it with something because we need immigration enforcement. So what are your ideas, Reed? Come on, help us out.
Yeah. It's a great point. And yes, I think we need to abolish ICE as it exists. I think you're totally right. We need an immigration and customs enforcement arm. ICE didn't exist until 2003, and we didn't have people rolling through with tanks through our streets or Black Hawk helicopters kidnapping people before the invention of ICE. There's a structure here. I don't think there's a way to bring this version of the agency back that people will ever trust, rightly so. And some of that is the fact that it is run by maniacs. And some of that is a set of authorities that Congress has allowed and passed that created the tinderbox for this, right? It is legal because Congress made it legal for ICE agents to arrest people based on skin color or accent or suspicion of, your eyes look like you're from a foreign place. There's functionally no restriction on the cause that an ICE agent can arrest somebody for. They are allowed to drive around in unmarked vans. They are allowed to wear masks and hide their badge numbers. They are allowed to carry AR-15s, even though they are enforcing civil law. Now, look, if you need to do something, if you need to make an arrest of somebody who has committed a violent crime, coordinate with the branches of government that do violent crime enforcement. But if you're talking about people who've overstayed their visas, you have the same authority, you should have the same authority as a postal worker, and you don't see them walking around with AR-15s. They also are functionally immune from lawsuits. There's federal immunity. You're a lawyer. We can go down the lineage of constitutional torts. But this is Congress's fault, where you have agents who are empowered to do kind of whatever they want with weapons of war, with legal immunity, and in an agency that has been stripped off from the wider story of immigration work and exclusively focused on this idea of hunting down immigrants. And of course, then great, you've made a matchbox. That is, why are you surprised when it's setting on fire? So,
and as a matter of national security, right? They braided it with national security, which is
right, which is braided with the surveillance state on top of that, and all of the exemptions that come with this is a national security story. So it's part of the imperial presidency, and the president can do whatever they want with this too. So we need to abolish and completely remake ICE. We need to pass laws so that the new version of our immigration and customs enforcement is accountable to people, that it's not a bunch of people roving in unmarked vans with guns, that you have to have probable cause for arrests, and that's not just you think somebody looks funny. And there needs to be real accountability. You need to, when agents violate the law, when they commit atrocities, when they commit violations of their constitutional rights, you should be able to sue them, and states should be able to sue them, and people should be able to bring accountability to these agencies so that we don't watch this runaway dictatorial power grab.
All right. And I just noticed this about your account. You're not allowed to receive gifts.
I am not.
No, if you all like me have been trying to send him gifts, he's not allowed to.
Yes, and they made us. We're a public figure account once we hit a certain scale, and they said now you're I guess fancy, and so no gifts.
No
but
gifts.
If you have been interested in this, you want to check out our website. If you got $5 or $1, it really does help. We've been really excited. We are the top funded progressive candidate in our field. We have several thousand individual donors, and that kind of stuff helps us get out and talk to people, and it really does help.
That is awesome. I like that. So, Reed, you've built your career around taking on corporate concentration. Let's get a little bit concrete about that. Name one industry where you believe Congress has failed to act and what you would do differently as a member of the House.
Yeah. Well, there are so many. And in the interest of covering a few different places, we've talked about healthcare, we've talked about housing. Let's talk about food a little bit.
Okay.
If you buy a burger in the grocery store, that burger has been controlled top to bottom by one of 4 companies. If you're buying eggs, it's likewise a few companies. If you're getting bread, like wheat is grown by only a few companies. The whole way through the food system is dominated by somewhere between 3 and 5 companies at every level of the chain.
Wow.
So there's no competition. And then we are surprised when you turn around and it's like, why are eggs so expensive? Why is everything going up in the grocery store? Because there's a few companies that have pricing power. They can charge whatever they want. And a crazy thing about that is they raise prices in the grocery store, and then they step on farmers and food producers so they make less money. It used to be that if you're a farmer and you sell, you're a rancher, you raise a cow. That cow gets turned into all of the many meat products that people eat. And your farmer makes 60, 70 cents on the dollar for every dollar that someone spends in the grocery store. Now it's like 12 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
And all of the rest of that money is absorbed and caught up by these major food producers. So the farm economy gets decimated. Farmers can't make any money. They can't spend in their local businesses. They can't spend in their small towns. And then all of us in cities are dealing with meat and cheese and egg and food prices that just keep going up every year. And there are laws on the books that are supposed to prevent this. Congress used to police this, but we have failed. And every year we get a chance to do something on it in the Farm Bill, and we don't do it. We exclusively use the Farm Bill to do things like, fight over SNAP and WIC, and those are really important things, but we can also be taking on the monopolies that are making this stuff more expensive in the first place. Part of the reason so many people need SNAP is because food is expensive because there's a bunch of monopolies that control the food system. So,
and why do you think Congress hasn't taken them on? It can't just be, these people are donating to their campaign, so they're afraid to take them on. There has to be something else.
Yeah, I mean,
unless it's just that simple.
In a lot of cases, it is that simple. These companies are some of the biggest donors. Cargill donates a huge amount of money, and they control most of the farm inputs across the economy. Tyson, same thing for chicken and eggs. The other part of it is it's complicated. I've spent a lot of time trying to work through these markets, and they are complicated. And I won't lie to you, I'm simplifying a lot when I talk about this. And if you're not paying attention to it already, if you haven't spent the time digging in, that's hard to do. And if the thing right in front of you is, even if you're not bought and paid for by one of the big ag companies, if the thing in front of you is, okay, great, there's a farm bill, we're going to do the same thing we did last year. Mm-hmm. That just becomes inertia. And it takes people who are going to go in and say, yes, because there's more to do here than just the same thing we did last year. Most people don't spend time learning about this. It's a nerdy thing, and I'm a huge nerd.
We need more nerds. We need more nerds in Congress at the legislative level, please.
Yeah.
Please leave the executive branch. Come to Congress, please. So if elected, how would you ensure your district sees real price relief, not just hearings and headlines?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is the work. I think hearings have become this sort of flash in the pan that you can do.
Right.
Kind of, it becomes a news story, and everyone feels like, great, we did it. I asked 3 questions at the hearing, and now we're done.
It's great theater, isn't it?
It is great theater. I had the good fortune of, when I was working in Congress, I was working on an investigation, the types of which like Congress doesn't really do anymore. We had an investigation of the big tech companies that lasted over a year. And we sat with that for a really long time, and we built a record, and we spent a tremendous amount of energy understanding who are the players, what's happening, how exactly is it happening. And the thing that came out of that when we had our hearings and when we finished our investigation was, one, like we had consistent hearings that could follow the bouncing ball and had like a through line. But 2, we wrote a big report, and we referred that report to the Department of Justice, and we made it available to states. And the thing that came out of it was 5 draft bills as well, which were tacked on to the investigations we did. And the thing that came from that, we passed 2 of those bills. We brought lawsuits against all 4 of the companies that were investigated, and dozens of states joined as well, and several private actions started as well. And that kind of work is the thing that Congress is capable of doing, but it takes an attention span, and it takes the willingness to like do this work pretty deeply. And that is the thing that I will promise as an attorney, as a nerd, and as a person who cares really deeply about these progressive values. Like, it's not enough to just have the slogans, unless we are showing up and putting the work in, and putting that work in a sustained way, writing those bills, working those bills, having hearings that relate to each other, having hearings that come out with records that you can refer to enforcement agencies, having hearings that do coalition building work that like allows us to take other steps. That's the kind of thing that Congress needs to do, and it's the only thing that I'm interested in doing when I'm there.
Okay, and we have a question from the audience. Reed, it says, hasn't struggled with any of his messaging because he's that guy. Why do you think Dem leaders are struggling to do the same?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for my struggling counterparts entirely. I think I'll say this. The reason why this is easy for me is because it's from a place of consistent values. Like, I am not putting my finger to the wind and saying which way is the polling blowing, which way are the donors sort of moving. I just care about this a lot, and I've cared about it for a really long time. And I think the only way that we move forward there is having people who are values driven there. I think there is a real tendency of people in Congress, once you get there, to sort of like admire the fact that you're in the fancy chair and start saying, great, well, now I need to stay here because it's a part of my personality now that I'm a big important person and I've been sitting in the chair. And you start doing things like, okay, well, in order to do that, I need to get more donors. In order to do that, I need to make the donors happy. In order to do that, I need to find the best polling message. And maybe this thing that I was going to fight for, I'm going to backpedal on it a little bit. And that kind of thing is the rot in democracy. It is hard to win a grassroots election with progressive values like this in a system that prioritizes corporate money and that type of institutional work. But I think the superpower we have is just earnestly caring and believing about this stuff. And I don't have to think hard about these answers because the values are the same in whatever room I'm in, and I'll say the same thing anywhere I go. I'm not going to hide myself. This is just the thing that I'm here to fight for.
See, I told y'all he's that guy. And I'm not saying that just because he's a lawyer and I'm a lawyer and lawyers stick to... No. You've heard this guy talk. Okay, Reed, we're going to move over to some, I say absurd questions. Maybe you don't agree, but these are kind of the fun rapid fire just to kind of forget about your troubles, forget about your cares.
Yeah.
So, should billionaires exist, Reed?
In a world where people are struggling to eat, billionaires should not exist. You know, like, I could see a world where, hey, if we're all on a shining mountaintop and everyone's millionaires and there's a billionaire, like, I'll entertain it again. But there's no, like, there's just no universe where I'm talking to people who are like, I had to skip breakfast so my daughter could eat lunch. Like, I hear that, and then see that we have almost 1,000 billionaires in the United States alone. Like, that's a crime.
That is, I totally agree with that. So, is voting sacred, inconvenient, or intentionally confusing?
It is option A and C.
I'm in Ohio. I agree. I concur.
Yeah, it's like, look, it's hard, and there's a whole bunch of, I mean, we've watched the Republican Party especially, but even with the sort of rollover compliance of the Democratic Party, we've watched as there's purges of voting rolls, and voting day is still not a national holiday, and for whatever reason, we can bank online, but we can't vote online, and it is like intentionally difficult to vote, and it is a sacred obligation that we have as a democracy, and the fact that we've got obstacles to it is unacceptable.
It is. It seems like they're trying to dilute the right to vote. Like, why are you making the language on the ballot confusing? It should be plain words, plain language. They're like, no, we must throw in a bunch of.
Are like,
yeah. On a scale from 1 to 10, how honest is Congress? I'm talking about both houses now.
1 being dishonest. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, look, I would have said 1 before, but this Congress has been pretty open that like what they're trying to do is like a right-wing ethno-nationalist project. So I guess they've been more honest now that they want to sell out to billionaires and victimize regular people. Honest and out of touch, honest and craven. I think there's a whole lot of dishonesty there. The fact that we haven't banned congressional stock trading, the fact that people are getting rich from their seats, the fact that there's a bunch of corporate money there and that's all in the shadows and it's all funded through super PAC money too, is wildly dishonest. And there's a reason why the institution has low double digit, sometimes single digit approval ratings.
Right, like currently.
Yeah.
So what's the most overrated political phrase?
It's a great question. There's a whole lot of them.
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
If I hear waste, fraud, and abuse, yes, truly waste. You might have hit it. It makes me so mad. I was talking with a friend who worked in USDA about the whole waste, fraud, and abuse nonsense. When he was at USDA, it's like less than single digit misuse of things like the free and reduced school lunch program or of WIC, and somehow it's the only thing that people want to talk about.
Right.
I was on stage with our the Republican running for this race a few weeks, I guess 2 weeks back at an NAACP forum, like a town hall forum, and the first answer they had for how are we going to fix healthcare is we're going to go after all the fraud. The fraud. The fraud? What if we just stopped paying United Health Group billions of dollars?
Not charging people $20,000 for an ultrasound.
Come on. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it time for us to mind our business internationally?
Yeah. I mean, look, there's 2 versions of this answer. The way that the United States has done international politics is like horrifyingly irresponsible. We drop in an armed unit and say, let's topple a government and consequences be damned. I think done right, the United States could at least has the operational potential to be a force for good. That does not look like kidnapping a head of state or trying to bully your way into owning Greenland or invading the Middle East and continuing to have a constant presence and continuing to fund war criminals across the country or across the world. We could be helping investing in rebuilding schools and helping stabilize places that have real crises. Like when states fail, People want to talk about immigration reform as just like put up a wall at the southern border, but the United States, the amount of money we spend blowing up missiles in the sands of the Middle East, one, we can and should be sending that money to build schools and hospitals in the States. But if we're going to spend on foreign aid, cool, let's do it on like stabilization programs in other countries that are our allies, because it helps them get on their feet, it helps them trade with us, it helps stop, for example, like places where you have refugee crises that are just because states are collapsing. We can be supportive instead. That's immigration reform, to my mind. Like helping build schools alongside governments that are getting their feet under them. That's immigration reform, and that's the kind of thing that we should be talking about. Not how do we, like, this country just elected a socialist, let's overthrow their government. What are we doing?
Reed, you have 2 dogs.
I do.
Do they have the same similar personalities?
No. No. One of them is one of them will sleep 20 to 23 hours a day, and he's a delight. And the other one, also a delight, but does not tolerate you not paying attention to her for longer than 16 minutes at a time. And so they're wildly opposites until they go outside, and then their personalities flip. And Toast, our boy, is excited to run around everywhere, and Bubble gets scared of a leaf falling, and so she's a bit of a shrinking violet.
So which one do you think, if they had to choose, which one would pick liberal and which one would pick conservative?
Oh gosh. You
look at one of them and you go, yeah, you're a Republican.
I hope neither of them are Republicans. That would really drive a wedge in our household.
You would still love Toast anyway.
Yeah. I think, look, I'm a big fan of energetic government doing things for people, and so I'll say Bubble matches my vision for the type of progressivism I want to see. Never sleeping, and even when it's annoying, showing up to do the work.
Aw, okay, that's fair.
I'm not going to tell Toast that he's a Republican, though. I feel like it'll hurt his
All right, let's get back to seriousness. Serious. Okay. Since we have about 13 minutes left, Let's see what I got here. All right. What's your stance on federal sentencing reform?
Yeah. Federal sentencing has been out of whack for a long time. The story of mandatory minimums has put a huge number of people behind bars for nonviolent crimes in ways that have lasting impacts on not just their life, but on communities. Like, I don't have to tell you this, but the whole prison industrial complex is just another version of extraction. It is private prisons. I actually did some work a while back on the many monopolies in the prison system. You know, if you try to call a loved one there, it is dollars a minute, and the only way to pay for it is with a reloadable card. And congratulations, that reloadable card, you have to reload it. You can't reload it more than $50 at a time, and also there's a $5 fee to reload it. And by the way, you can get a job in while you're incarcerated, but it's going to pay you 30 cents an hour because there is no minimum wage for people who are incarcerated. And so now it's an extraction racket from your family if they want to be in touch with somebody who was sentenced on a mandatory minimum for a nonviolent crime. And that kind of system is horrifying and exactly the type of thing that we need to be going after. I think, frankly, I'd like to see it flipped. There's a whole bunch of nonviolent crimes that are like petty things of, you know, you had a bag of weed and you got picked up in a sweep. Meanwhile, there are corporate criminals who, for example, tanked the global economy in 2007 and 8, and not a single person went to jail for that. Not one.
That's insane. That's just that's unforgivable, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, like, let's get some mandatory minimums for some CEOs, and let's end this story of incarcerating every part of the rest of the country for like minor infractions that, frankly, like if they're enforced at all, should be a fine.
Why not?
Yeah, like, look, if it's illegal, fine. Like, okay, I have a parking ticket. I parked in the wrong spot. Cool. Like, you don't see me going to jail for it.
I wouldn't want you to. As a member of society, I don't want people to go to prison
Yes.
for minor infractions.
Yes.
Number one, we don't have the space, but when we do find the space, it's because we've used private corporations to build these gigantic prisons, and they have to fill them. So they're finding people to fill these spaces.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is when you create a big hole like that. There's a giant sucking sound, and they're like, "All right, well, who can we incarcerate to fill it?"
Right.
And it's not going to be Wall Street traders. So who else can we find? It's the people who historically and constantly are the ones on the receiving end of disinvestment and our consistent American habit of putting people behind bars rather than investing in their future.
Right. Wow. Okay, we got 10 minutes left, Reed. Let's dig a little bit into your campaign.
Yeah.
As voters, today, you said they start today deciding who should represent the 7th District in Congress. What do you want them to understand about you that truly sets you apart from the people you are running against?
Yeah. This is one of those rare things. So this is a relatively crowded field. I am, as you can tell, a very progressive candidate. And
you're an actual progressive, okay? Yeah. You're not somebody who just says it. You are an actual progressive.
Yes. I am an actual progressive here to make progress, not to wear the cape. And I think there's a rare chance in these types of districts. You rarely get to be the person who is young, progressive, has big ideas and big swings for what you want to see out of Congress, and also the most relevant recent federal experience to actually do it. Whoever wins this district is going to take office in the middle of the Trump administration. Day one is going to be a Donald Trump presidency that has been in power for 2 years, with 2 more years of damage to do. And we've got to put somebody there who knows how to pull those levers, and not just pull them and do the same garbage, moderate, inertial stuff that the people in power have been doing for the last 30 years, but say, great, we need to hold this administration accountable, and we need to walk and chew gum at the same time. We need to be building the legislation and the coalitions for these big swings that we're going to take, because I really do think we are going to win back the Senate and the presidency by 2028. And we cannot afford to be like, you remember when Republicans won and they didn't have a plan? They're like, we're going to repeal Obamacare, and then they tried and failed, and they had nothing to replace it with, and people kept watching them spin their wheels because there's a bunch of people that rolled up with this vague idea and didn't want to do any of the work. And we need somebody who is going to have those two. Somebody who is energetic and progressive and values driven, and also, like, I've written bills before. A subpoena to a cabinet secretary actually isn't new to me. I worked at the DOJ Legislative Affairs Office and saw when Jim Jordan was trying to investigate.
What? You mean you can do that?
Right?
What? When did they invent that?
Yeah. And so it takes somebody who's going to say, great, I know the work. I know the progressivism, and also I know how to write a subpoena, and there will be one on Kristi Noem and Donald Trump's desk within the first week of me getting there. And that kind of work really matters.
All right. I like that. For voters who may feel frustrated or disconnected from politics, what would you say to them about why their voice and this election matters?
For the first part, they are right to be frustrated. I'm frustrated. I think our politics has been really garbage for a long time. It hasn't delivered for people. And this is a seat that has been held for 30 years by a member that, especially for the last several, has been kind of asleep at the wheel. And there's not a lot of times when, both at a district level but also at a historical level, we are given a chance to really rebuild like this. I've talked about this historical moment in two ways. Like, there's a bunch of crises that have been burning for a long time. They have reached a really fever pitch. Our government is hollowed out, and people's faith in democracy is hollowed out, rightly so, because we have a constitutional crisis happening every day. But also, the biggest steps forward that America has ever taken have been out of moments like this, right? We built the New Deal out of the Great Depression. We built the Civil Rights Act and Civil Rights Movement out of the Jim Crow South. And I think we are at another time like that. And there is a chance now, a generational chance, to put people in office in this district and across the country that are going to take those swings. And if ever you've wanted Congress and government to look like that, now is, I think, one of the few at-bats we get to really make those changes.
Okay. Now, for the fun part, where can people find you on the interwebs, and how can they support your campaign?
Yeah. So our website is above my head, readforcongress.com. We are also on Instagram and TikTok and Threads and Twitter and Blue Sky, all for Congress. We are on every platform except we are not on Truth Social. I will not cross that Rubicon.
No. X.
And if you want to reach out, our website has ways to volunteer and phone bank and knock doors. It's a huge help. We are running a grassroots campaign. We are not the machine candidate, but we have a ton of enthusiasm. We are reaching more people than I think the machine ever thought we could. And if you want to be a part of that, if you live around here, or even if you don't and you want to make some phone calls on our behalf, there's a way to sign up for volunteering on our website. Or if you don't have the time for that or don't want to, but you still care about it, like $7 goes a long way. It lets us pay for yard signs, and that is all also hugely helpful. And we take it as a huge honor when people entrust us with those resources, and we do not take it lightly.
And if you are elected, what is one commitment you will make to the people that you will not break? And how will you stay accountable to the people you represent?
Yeah. Look, everything that I talked about today are commitments that I will not break. My values will never change on this. I will never take a vote because it is the profitable thing to do, because it is a corporate PAC-funded choice. Any votes that I take, you will know that it is because it is grounded in these values. I've thought through it, and I'm doing it on behalf of regular people. And I think it's really important to be able to trust, rebuild the trust in our politicians. So you'll never see a corporate PAC on my FEC filings. You'll never see a dime of that kind of money influencing my votes. And I think that is one of the most important things we can ask from our politicians.
And we did have an audience question sneak in at the last minute.
Yeah.
Someone wants to know your view on the Second Amendment. Keep in mind that this is TikTok.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
the Second Amendment has two really important, equally important operating parts. A well-regulated militia being essential to the preservation of a free people, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. And so, while we have a Second Amendment that has been interpreted really expansively to put weapons in the hands of people across the country, more than in any other country in the world, we absolutely need a real regulatory structure to stop it from getting in the hands of people with records of violence, stop the ghost and unattributable sale of these types of weapons, and make it impossible to have weapons of war in the hands of 18-year-olds. They shouldn't be available, frankly, even to cops. Those are weapons of war. You do not need a fully automatic rifle. Those are things that belong on a battlefield, not in our cities. And having a respectful structure that de-escalates the sort of flood of these types of weapons makes it possible to have a system where people are not being unalived every day.
all right. Thank you for that. And thank you for complying with the rules.
I'm doing my best in TikTok speed.
We appreciate you, Reed. You have been so awesome. Okay, somebody also asked who currently holds the seat, if you can remind them. I know we said it at the beginning of the program.
Yes,
But
this seat is held currently by Representative Danny Davis, who has been there for just about almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years by the time he retires.
no more career politicians, please and thank you. Although I'm not really interested. I'm nonpartisan. As a member of Our Vote Counts, I am nonpartisan.
And I appreciate that.
But thank you, Reed. This has been so dope. Thank you so very much for being here with us. We appreciate you. We love that you were candid. We love that you were candid about everything. You know what? I'm a nerd. I love talking to other nerds. I could sit here and talk to you all night about this stuff. But of course, they would yell at me. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, same here. The show goes on. You've got other people to talk to. But I really appreciate you using your platform for stuff like this. It matters. And I am very thankful to be a part of it.
All right. And Illinois is poised for new leadership in your district. And the primary race is where it starts. People, vote in the primary. Early voting started in Illinois today. You can vote. Well, maybe not now because it's 6. Is it 5:30 where you're at? Maybe
Go tomorrow.
Go tomorrow. Yes, go tomorrow. Oh, you can vote on a Saturday? You can early vote on a Saturday?
I think they're open on Saturdays, although this is their first week being open, so I actually should check that.
Yeah. But if not, go on Monday. Go on Tuesday. But go. Go. And looking ahead to our next event tomorrow, we will be holding a double header starting at 4 p.m. with Savant Moore, who was candidate for Comptroller of Texas. Think budgets and financing. If you don't know what that means, think budgets and financing for the state of Texas. Followed at 8 p.m. These noises, please. Followed at 8 p.m. by Zoltan Istvan, who is the candidate for governor of California. Woo! That's a big deal. So 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We really would love for everyone to join us. I have appreciated having Reed here. He has been awesome. You all in the audience with your engagement. Oh, we have another one tonight? I thought so. Listen.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, don't let me get in the way of that.
No. It's okay. It's okay. It's probably, I think it's at, if we can get the graphic up, is it at 7:30 or 8 o'clock? Anybody know? Please help us, help Auntie out. One of you youngins. Please, with a better memory than me, help Auntie out. Y'all got it? Anybody? There we go. Thank you. Adam Grayson Murphy. He is running for District 9, Virginia, U.S. House of Representatives. And what time is that? At 9 o'clock. Ooh, y'all better stay up, honey. You got to stay up. Come back for Adam Grayson Murphy at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My apologies for forgetting. I am just a woman who is middle-aged. For the Virginia U.S. House of Representatives, District 9. And then tomorrow we will have the double header. I'll be here for that. Again, I am Ayana Fakir. This is OVC, a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity like Reed Showalter, and ensure every voice is heard through education, outreach, accountability, and action. We're building a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. We thank you for joining us, Reed, and thank you to the audience. Remember, your vote is your power. Everyone have a great evening and weekend.